Welcome back to this week's episode of Zero to Fuel Tycoon, the series in which I'm going from zero risk into becoming a known entity for fuel production in EVE Online. Last week I've had a bit of an issue with Jeep assets, as you can see. I'm not sure what's going on. I think maybe it's as it seems to be working for my character. You can see here was the when I was stupid and not using courier contracts when moving fuel blocks. So a lot of it got transferred to my own character. You can see that dip here. But I have no idea what's going on here. At no point have we had a wallet balance of zero risk. But I think I've sorted it now. So if I only update the corporation, it seems to have fixed itself again. But we will just have to live with this weird anomaly. And we'll see if it evens out now. But I don't know if these are true numbers. Could very well be. Maybe we have a trend line like this. But we'll maybe next week we'll get an idea of where we are at. And for our corporation, we've been steadily growing up to 90 members. See, this is the point where I gave up on recruiting and delegated it to people, and doing great. And within Plenitude, we're sort of in the mid bracket. And Plenitude has been growing steadily as well, up to 1,055 members. And there's been a bit of a lull in the entire corporation, but we have steadily increased our stockpiles in anticipation of the turn of the month. So now a lot of orders are going to go out, and we'll get some new life again into the corporation. So both Caldari and Galente are ready to go and deliver their orders. Amar has had a constant influx of new orders, so the stockpiles haven't been growing as much, but I know that there's some people are sitting on a bit of stockpiles as well. But for the next week, we can expect these stockpiles to plummet as the orders start going out. And I think for the corporation, the big development this week has been that I have been pretty swamped with orders and dealing with projects and setting up contracts. So I've felt that I haven't really been able to take part in the corporation, which is not good. So I had a chat with my second in command, Thor, who does all the backend stuff, and he has started working on automating a lot of that process. So we begun work on an automated order system. And this will be something that we'll have on our dashboard so that people can come here and place their own orders. And you would just simply type in how many blocks you want. It'll give you a price for them. You select the delivery station, and then you'll get the instructions how to create a contract. So instead of using the system now where we have delivered the fuel blocks to the location and set up a contract, the customer will be setting up a contract. And once this contract has been placed, this will trigger Discord pings to the head of the regions, who will then make sure that there's a stockpile and that projects are in line, so we have enough, and then set up the courier contracts. And the goal of this system is to make it not only easy for the customers, but also easier for us, because I've felt like really swamped by having to deal with orders. I get home from work and I spend 3-4 hours on doing basic admin, and I don't have time to run the corporation properly. But we still have to be a bit conscious. So even if I delegate a lot of this to people, we have to make sure that they don't get swamped in turn, because there will still be a bit of work involved. It's not like it'll be completely automated. So we have to ensure that it'll be easy to use and something you can do relatively quickly. But I am quite excited about this. This opens up a lot of possibilities to branch out into other items later on. And it would be cool to just like people could paste in, say, blueprints or whatever rigs they want. And there's a lot of possibilities with this system. And the fuel block prices seem to still be in a downward slope, which again is a bit scary. And another good reason for us to branch out into other items, to spread out the risk a bit so we're not completely dependent on the fuel blocks. And just one thing to do would be the isotopes, I guess. Even though I have a slight feeling, yeah, they're also on a downward slope. I don't know enough about this particular market to be able to say exactly why this is. If it's the mining changes or if it's related to player count, or it feels like the stations across New Eden should be fairly similar. So the need for fuel blocks for that is roughly similar. But it could be that there's less manufacturers around now. So less people using them for reactions, coupled with an increase in availability from the mining changes. So maybe the introduction of crits to ice mining has had a big effect on the prices. Who knows? So skill-wise, I finally managed to complete the Mining Frigate 5 and the Expedition Frigate. So that means that I can now fly in Endurance. I haven't really had time to take it out for a spin. I have been out in a very cheap venture and tried a little bit of ore anomalies out in low sec, which went completely fine. But hopefully next week I can get the Endurance out and start to learn how to stay safe in the low sec, so I can start working on the prospectors. And soon, finally, I'll have the Broker Relations 5 finished up, which will be nice. And then I'm actually going to train a bit into a bit of combat skills, see if I can help out with within the alliances. So for this week's weekly goals, I managed to get into the Endurance. I haven't been out trying it yet. I've been out in a venture in low sec and tried a bit of ore anomalies. But hopefully next week I'll have some time to see if I can head out and learn a bit and maybe lose at Endurance Zone 2. I didn't have time to set up the prospectors and didn't really have time to do anything corporation-wise. It's been a bit of a lull this week and a little bit last week. This is partly because we haven't had any orders going out, but it's really down to a failure from me to not provide goals for people and no direction for people. I have reasons for why that hasn't happened, as in being pretty swamped by the admin behind the scenes, but they're not excuses. So we are working on freeing up a bit of my time so I can focus a bit more on that with the automatic order system, for instance. And we're also looking at setting up the head of Galenti and head of Caldari. We'll have to see if we can finalize that. And then we need someone in Minmatar space as well. So for the next week, I'm hoping that I can finally do the prospectors and endurance stuff. It's been, 3 weeks now I tried to set that up. But also, hopefully, I can get some more time to give the corporation a bit of direction. Because at the end of the day, this is a game, even though, especially for Ardco, it's presented as like a proper corporation. And it becomes a bit of a job. So I get home from work and then I spend 3-4 hours doing work, but losing a bit of the charm behind the game. So I need to figure out so that doesn't happen for our members as well. So here's actually where you guys could help. If you can, because like the clear goals and stuff, that will help. But there's also things about corporations that I don't know because I'm still a fairly new player. So if you can remember times when you've been in corporations and they've been good and what you guys have done, especially if you're in like industrial corporations. A big part of the charm of it, what I can tell, is to be part of a group that works towards a common goal. Some people just enjoy the mining aspects, and that's kind of easier to facilitate. The bigger miners are, from my experience, pretty self-sufficient, but you still need to engage them. And the holders, I feel, also have a similar ethos. They're pretty self-sufficient. As long as you put the system in place, they will do it. But again, if you have ideas for like what a successful corporation is in terms of how to make it a good place, you know, if that makes sense, just write it in the comments. Send me a email message or whatever. Get on the Discord, which you can find in the description. Because at the end of the day, I want to make this a nice place to be. And I'm still learning, and I will get better at it as time goes on. But for that, you need to learn and experience both highs and lows and all of that. But that will be everything for this week. Thank you again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one.